Hey there Facebook, it is Vanessa here again, your motivational speaker, trainer and head coach from Live, Love, Give. And today I have a message for you, and it's kind of a timely one, I think, for a lot of you guys out there who I've been in conversation with, and you've been letting me know, in terms of getting yourself out there more, in terms of discovering more about who you are and sharing more of that depth with the people around you, and being in fear of firstly doing that, and then secondly you're kind of finding that maybe you're losing a few people along that journey and along that way. And so today I really wanted to talk to you guys about, this funny title that I've sort of been writing about this morning, which is that ultimately, let your passion and your authenticity be your friend finder and your friend decliner simultaneously. And I probably should say, and be really happy about that as well. So how I want to talk into this with you guys today is I really want to share with you some of my own journey. I think that it's really powerful when we hear other people's stories and journeys, and in the hope that you can resonate with pieces of this story, and it will get you moving in the right direction. And so where I want to start this story is back, when where was it? So it was about, I'm just jumbling my words right now, but how I should probably start this story is to tell you that for about 3 to 4 years, about 3.5 years or so it was, I didn't post a single thing personally on my Facebook page, on my personal Facebook page. And what I did instead was I had a joint account with my partner at the time, and we were building a business. So we had a business page which was branded, the two of us. It was nothing. I wasn't doing anything from my own personal account. Nobody could even tell if this post that was going out was coming from myself, it was coming from my partner. They wouldn't have known, right? And I went on that journey of not posting a single thing on my own profile, my own personal profile, because I was starting to go on this different journey. So everybody who was on my friends list at that time, they either knew me from school, or they went to university with me, or maybe they just partied with me all weekend at some stage, right? So those were the kind of people that I had on my friends list, my friendship groups, my acquaintances, whatever. Those were the kind of people, they knew me as this certain person. But as I went on my own sort of self-discovery journey, I started to realize that who I'd been up until that point was not the truth of who I was. And I was finally starting to figure out who that person even was. And so as I started going on that journey of self-discovery, I started sharing what my insights were and what I was starting to feel more passionate about, and with those people closest to me who were totally used to me being this, people pleasing, never rocking the boat, tell you exactly what you want to hear, make you feel good kind of person who just wants to party and have a good time. And I was starting to kind of emerge out of that and be somebody who actually, no, that's not what I think, and starting to have a bit of an opinion, and telling them what I was more passionate about and excited about, which was anything but like going out and partying and feeling like crap for an entire week. I was shifting out of that mode and I was emerging into somebody different, but I wasn't totally sure who that was, and I was still on that journey, and I think we never get off that journey. But who I was back then, when I started this journey of self-discovery and finding out what I'm passionate about and moving more in that direction, was somebody who was completely terrified with that fear of rejection. And it was that very fear of rejection that had landed me a very inauthentic life, one in which I never gave myself permission to discover what it was that I wanted, or even discover who it was that I was, because I was so fixated on fitting in and being approved of, that what was the point in discovering who I was? What if it was somebody completely different to the person who would be approved of by these people that I want to be approved of by, right? So I was kind of caught in this predicament. But as I started on that self-development journey, I knew that the people who were on my friends list, and I know this sounds weird, like we're talking about a friends list on Facebook, like how important really that is, but I think it's the world that we live in, you know, and I think that it makes sense to a lot of us. So I'm using that as a good example. So that started me on that journey of, I'm just going to hide behind the screen. I'm going to hide behind the brand. I'm going to hide behind the relationship. And because I'm uncertain about exactly who I am, and I'm going through this identity shift and change, like I was too scared. I was still caught up in that fear of rejection that I just avoided and withdrew and hid behind the screen. And I kind of cocooned myself. So, you know, I kind of was like that caterpillar who just wanted to fit in with the crowd, didn't want to stand out, just wanted to crawl around and just have fun on the ground. And I went into kind of hibernation in this cocoon as I went into sort of self-discovery as to who the hell am I? Because this doesn't feel good. And this is starting to feel more energizing over here, and what am I passionate about, and all of that sort of stuff. And I kind of went into this hibernation and cocooning. And, you know, only about probably a year ago, I started to kind of piece away, you know, take away, get out of that cocoon, like kind of piece by piece, and kind of start posting things that were coming directly from me, so people would know, like, she posted that. It wasn't who the hell was that? It was coming directly from me. And I started just like inching my way out of that cocoon, starting to like post a couple of different things, which in the beginning was like kind of really scary, because I already knew that the people in my friendship groups on Facebook, like, they just weren't into that. Like, they thought it was kind of weird, and like, what the hell is this girl into? Like, she's turned all weird, like, you know. And so I kind of knew that that was what was going to happen. So it prevented me from doing it until I started inching my way out. And with every step that I took in terms of just showing a bit more of who I am and what I'm learning and that journey that I'm on, it didn't matter about the feedback. It was more about, whoa, I just did something courageous. I just did something that my past self couldn't have done. And I started doing it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And as I went through that journey, I started developing simultaneously a new level of confidence, a new level of courage, and a new level of freedom to be all of who I am. And fast forward to where I am right now, my very worst fear that was preventing me from ever putting myself out there online is a daily occurrence right now. You know, the thing that I so feared happens to me every single day now. You know, and that thing is that every single day my friendship list goes down, right? So every single day I lose friends on Facebook. With every post that I put out, maybe not every post, but like every day at some stage, I am losing a friend here or there. Some days more, some days less. But at the same time, I am gaining a bunch more friends requests, which if you've sent me a friends request, I really must apologize, because I've got a bunch in there and I haven't gone through them. And part of me was just like, oh, you know, like, we've got this limit of 5,000 and I need to like go through this. But, you know, anyway, what I'm saying is who I am right now. And when I see that friendship list go down, I actually, and I know I'm being honest here, I actually feel a sense of excitement and freedom, because I'm not having to go through that manually. I'm actually using what I'm passionate about and my authenticity as my greatest filter for that friendship group, you know, that friendship list. Because, you know, I really do believe that when we show up authentically with courage, you know, we are absolutely going to repel people who just don't resonate with what we're passionate about and who we really are. And we absolutely attract all those who are. You know, you guys who've been following me for a long time, this is not the first time you've heard me say that. That is an absolute core belief of mine because it's been my absolute experience. And so every time I see my friendship list go down, which is, like I said, like daily, I'm actually like, that's good. You know, like the people who aren't attracted to what I'm doing aren't going to be there, you know? So I'm growing a better list organically by just being real. And the difference here is my past self was always trying to manufacture some sort of message that I thought people might like, you know? And it was coming from a good place because I wanted to help people, I wanted to be happy, I wanted to make them happy, all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, when you come from that place of trying to manufacture something you think people will like, you know, you are hanging on the edge for every, you know, friend you might lose or gain, or like you might get or don't get or whatever. And it's like it takes you away from your truth. Whereas when you just show up and you just be real, because you are courageously being authentic and you're discovering more of who you are and what you're passionate about, and you're sharing that because you know that's what really matters, then every time you lose a friend or you don't get a like or you get some hate message or criticism or whatever, you actually don't take it personally. And most of us think that the more we put ourselves out there, the more we're vulnerable to, you know, judgment, criticism, and the more pain and fear and all of that. The opposite is true. The more authentic you are and genuine, and you know you're doing the right thing and you know where that's coming from within you, the more you just see it for somebody who doesn't resonate with the truth of who you are, and that's okay. That's not a problem. Or you see people who are just like in their own fears, like it doesn't matter. But if you're coming from an inauthentic place where, you know, you're just trying to mold yourself to what you think people might like, you are at the whim of a bloody like on Facebook or a friend who's no longer there, you know. And so I'm hoping absolutely that, you know, this message is resonating with you guys, because like I said at the beginning, there is so many of you who I get to talk to on almost a daily basis from all corners of the globe who are absolutely on this journey of self-discovery. You know, they've gone from that caterpillar who's just trying to fit in. They're now in this stage of cocoon, you know. They're in this stage of cocoon where they're going on that self-discovery journey and, you know, just keeping to themselves and working out what's good for them, what's not good for them. And eventually they're going to start piecing out of that cocoon and, you know, starting to just show the world piece by piece, hey, this is me. This is who I'm discovering myself to be. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what matters to me. This is my gift. This is my inspiration. This is how I want to add value to the world. And piece by piece, getting rid of that, shedding that cocoon, until eventually I want all of us to be able to, you know, open those wings wide and show the world your brilliance as a butterfly, you know. And if we look at that analogy, you know, you experience so much more and you get to see so much more when you shift from being on the ground as the caterpillar to the butterfly in the sky. And I know it sounds a bit like, well, like what am I talking about? Now I'm talking about caterpillars and butterflies, but I just think that's a brilliant analogy for all of us to think about. And which stage are you in? Are you the caterpillar just trying to fit in, but you're not feeling that great because as the caterpillar, you know you've got wings in there that you haven't extended, that you haven't grown into, and it's kind of eating at you, trying to tell you, hey, you've got so much more to give and experience and discover, you know. And or are you in the cocoon where you kind of like, you've made that realization, you're on that journey of self-discovery about where do I go to? And or maybe you're like at the moment you're starting to throw off those pieces of that cocoon, shed that cocoon and give out little pieces of what's to come. You know, your butterfly is emerging. Or are you currently that butterfly who is soaring to new heights? And so I hope that, this analogy helps you as well. And like I said, me sharing this piece of my journey, and in the hope that, each of us, we're human beings who want to love and be loved, and we want to be of value. And so we can get so caught up in trying to play the game as the caterpillar, when ultimately your greatness is accessed on that journey to the butterfly, and life is not going to start being lived until you are at that place, or at least on the journey and you're in that cocoon, so get out of that realm. So I'm hoping that this is resonating with you guys. Make sure that you drop me any questions or comments or feedback. I'd love to hear from you and engage with you. And definitely, before I jump in and check out who's been able to join me, making sure that every single one of you guys is definitely in the Limitless Potential Inner Circle Facebook community, where we're all going through that cocoon process, shedding a few layers, and absolutely moving in the direction of that butterfly. And we'd love to support, encourage, and challenge you to do the same. So definitely do that. Come on over and join us, and I'm going to check in with you guys and see who's been able to join me. I've got Samia and Richard and Jason, Alexandria and Hassani. Awesome. Spirit sister. Love it, Alexandria. And Scotty's here. And Richard, today I'm in bed because I'm sick. Don't want to share the sickness. Love it, Richard. I'm wishing you a speedy recovery. Get well soon. And Narinda and Iman and Firaz and Jace, good morning to you. And John, transparency sets you free. Absolutely. You're speaking my language there, John. And Jason is here. And John, the disease to please. I love that. Absolutely. And Filippo and Mahmoud and West is here. And DB, hello to you. And Ronnie and Hines and Josie and Natalie and Matthew. Hello, Vanessa. Yes, thank you so much, Matthew. We hope that your Australia Day was awesome too. And Joel is here. And West, would you just check this smoke show out? Thank you, West. And Aaron is here. And Liz and Choppy and Fazia and Giuseppe and Victoria and Gabrielle and Judy and Natalie, currently going through this now. Boom. I love that I've caught you whilst you're transitioning through this process. It is shedding layers of our identity, and it's kind of like we can go through an identity crisis. It's kind of like the death of the past you and the re-emergence of the new you. And I think that this life is kind of this cycle of the caterpillar cocoon, shedding that cocoon and breaking into that butterfly in different realms as we grow and develop and get to a new layer of our potential. So I love that this message has reached you whilst you're in this journey. Natalie, thank you for sharing. And Joe Rule and another Vanessa. I love it. And Robert is here. And John, living compressed and taking the path of least resistance has been the way I've lived for my entire life. I vowed that 2018 and beyond will be a complete 180 for me. Boom! I love that, John. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that's super inspiring to hear. I don't think that it is ever too late in our existence to absolutely step into our truth and stop worrying so much about rocking the boat. And as you put it, John, living compressed and taking that path of least resistance. That path of least resistance, it might be the path of least resistance in the external world, but it's always the path of most resistance in your internal world when you go on that realm. So, opt for the path of least resistance within you, so you're operating as the truth of who you are. And, sometimes that ends up being a path of most resistance to your external world, but trust that it doesn't have to be that way, and that you will repel those who would put that resistance on you, and you'll absolutely attract those who make you realize that you're not on that path alone. I love that, John. Thank you so much for sharing. And Don's here, and another John, and Hassani. As you know, I can totally relate. As far as Facebook, what adds even more to the complications is when you use your personal page for a business too. So you really start to think about what you should and shouldn't share. Yeah, absolutely. I resonate with that as too, Huss, because obviously, like, my business is me, you know, so my personal page is really like my business page and whatever. But, you know, the last thing that I ever want to do is sort of pick and choose what I think I should share and what I shouldn't share. And at the end of the day, you know, I've gotten into some challenges with people in my life, even as close as this week, you know, because I've shared authentically, and a lot of times the people in my life end up thinking that I'm talking about them, but they're not understanding that we're human beings, and I get this information and my experiences through a multitude of different sources, not just one human being, you know. And so you know, that's a struggle that I have, because there's oftentimes when I'm about to share a post or do a video, there's this part of me that goes, oh, like, but will that person think that I'm talking about them because they're actually struggling with that? And will they be offended, or will they think I'm doing this? And then I go, you know what? You know, people in my life need to trust who I am and trust that I always have best intentions for everything, and I would never do anything that is, you know, I'm always going to stay true to my word, you know. So if I come from that place and I share authentically, you know, yes, I'm going to get people saying, like, was that about me, or should you have said that, or whatever. But at the end of the day, it has to come down to me being authentic. It has to come down to me being proud of how I'm operating and showing up. And that's true freedom. And like I said, you know, the more authentic we are, the more we repel people that don't resonate, and the more we attract all those who do. So I love that, Haas, and I know that you've been on that journey. That's awesome. And Marlon's here, and Brandon, and Danielle, and DB. That's true. Need to grow as your own person, not someone else. Be yourself. Absolutely. Yes. And Skip. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for those kind words. And Andres and Jerul, good morning to you. And Klaus from South America. Awesome. A place I haven't been yet, but I definitely want to go. And Janet, I'm so glad that you've caught me live. That's awesome. And Rian's here. And Tim, you're very courageous in putting yourself out there, Vanessa, with your daily messages. Oh, thank you, Tim. There will always be ones who like your message, ones that hate your message, ones that are indifferent, and ones who are spam bots. Yes. One question on your friends list: have you had to forcibly remove a bad person on your list, or they end up defriending? Yeah, great question. And what I would definitely say to you there, Tim, is there was a point in my life where I started, in that point where I started getting myself out there more, I started receiving like an overwhelming amount of friends requests. And at that time, I was also doing work on non-judgment, like zero judgment. And who am I to say who another person is and whether we should be friends or not based on, you know, what their profile on Facebook looks like, right? So I was going through this mindset. So I accepted thousands of friends, you know, and I had no idea where they were coming from. And I just thought, oh my gosh, like, people are liking what I'm putting out there and I'm attracting like minds, and this is super exciting. And then what I found out from getting, you know, some pretty disgusting, inappropriate, a lot of those sort of messages, and I think we all know what I'm talking about, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, and I kind of went into this kind of crisis mode of just like, oh, how do I like get rid of these people and get them off my list? And it was just so many. It was like too many. It was thousands of people, thousands of friends. So I just stopped doing that. And but what happens for me now and on a daily basis is, yes, I lose friends because they're unfriending me, but also I have had to take it on board of, defriending some other people and blocking some other people because of their inappropriate, they're there for the wrong reasons, right? And or they just like think that they can just call you constantly throughout the day, so your messenger is just getting blown up. So anybody who sends me any messages on Messenger and I oftentimes don't get back to you, or I don't see the message, it's because I avoid Messenger a lot, because I've got a lot of people who start calling me randomly at all hours of the day. And so as they do, I've taken it upon myself to just kind of block them. because that's just not on. And definitely when I get like inappropriate stuff, like I just block them. So there's those two ways that my friendship list is decreasing. But yeah, so I hope that answers your question there, Tim. And I absolutely appreciate your being here and you sharing your thoughts here, and I totally agree. That's awesome. And Jeremy's in the house. I love it. And Shay and Jolene and Abba and Warren and Mandy and Adrian. Awesome to see you. And Gary. So guys, that really is my message for you. I hope that it inspires you to definitely, use what you're passionate about and your authenticity to not only be your friend finder, but simultaneously your friend decliner, and filter out that list organically by just being you. Because so many people ask me, oh, well, people on my friends list, like I've been sharing you this story, they're not into what I'm doing, and I think that they'll, particularly people who are leaving religion and all of that sort of stuff, they know that their audience on their friendship list is not going to be into the stuff that they're into, and they get so concerned and worried about, oh, do I just clear them out, or do I block them, or do I start a new page, and all of this sort of stuff. And I say to them over and over again, just be you, just be authentic. Let them do the clearing out themselves, and you'll generate the confidence and courage to not take it personally and not have to go through that whole back and forth process. So hope that that's been really helpful to you guys, because I know so many of you out there who are definitely on that journey of self-discovery. You're discovering what you're passionate about, what your gifts are. You're starting to get them out into the world, and this is a real struggle that I know personally, and I know so many of you guys are going through. So really hope that this helped you and supported you. And if I can help and support you in any way further, please let me know. I always rely on you guys to let me know how I could be adding more value to your lives, and that's why I show up every day, is to hopefully add some value to you. So if you know that there's some way that I could be adding more value, I would so appreciate you letting me know, get in contact with me. And probably best through my business page. And I just mentioned my messenger is not so great. But as always, guys, I am sending you all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, everything extraordinary coming to you to wherever you are in the world today. I hope it's beautiful and amazing and extraordinary. And I know Huss has just sent me a quick thing here, so I definitely want to address that right now. So Huss, I'm learning to just share what's true to me, and like what you've pointed out, a few others, that the people who need to see what you have and share will see it, even if they don't post or like or comment. Absolutely. Great mindset to have, and not get caught up on the likes or the comments. The sooner you just be you and just show up consistently and be real, you'll attract your audience that absolutely get value from what you have to offer, and repel those who don't, and you don't want them there anyway. So thanks for that, Haas. I always appreciate you sharing your journey and experience with us all. It's inspiring. And as I said, guys, I'm sending you all of my love, and I cannot wait to see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for joining me.